The use of ventilation in the welding shop is very important because we are always exposed to fumes and gases that can be hazardous to our health. There are three different types of ventilation that are normally used. Number one is natural ventilation, and that's just where we would open doors, windows, and just let air flow through the shop, removing the fumes and gases from the welder's breathing zone. If the natural ventilation will not work for you, then the next step is to use forced ventilation, and that would be the use of fans or other methods that we can move air in a shop. And the last method is source extraction, and that's where we use a mechanical method of ventilation that is focused at the source of the welding arc or in the area where the cutting is taking place, that removes the fumes and gases from the welder's breathing zone before they have a chance to rise. The easiest way to test to see if there's adequate ventilation in your area is to watch welders in your area and just make sure that the smoke or fumes are not traveling up through their breathing zone, especially up under their welding helmet. There are other tests for fumes and gases that can be used that will measure the amount of particulates generated by the process that you're using. That type of testing is generally done by an industrial hygienist. The main thing that we need to remember in dealing with fumes and gases is to keep your head out of the fume plume. The fume plume consists of gases, smoke, and particles that rise from the weld area. It's always important to use ventilation in a welding shop for any welding or cutting application, but it's even more important when we work with metals that contain or are coated with hazardous materials. Some of these materials are barium, cadmium, chromium, base metal coatings such as paint, cobalt, copper, manganese, nickel, silica, and zinc. The easiest way to inspect your ventilation equipment is just to make sure that it is properly removing the fume plume from the welder's breathing zone, either blowing it off to the side or extracting that fume plume at the source. Breathing fumes, gases, and particulates generated by welding and cutting processes can be extremely hazardous to your health. Make sure you always have the proper and adequate ventilation.